Hello, welcome back to Oracle DBA tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to discuss about undo management. So let's take an example, basically so let's take a recap of what we have done so far. So in Oracle database, what we have is like, so let's say this is your, this is the SGA, and then we have, this is your data file. So generally, what we have something called buffer cache. So let's say this is the buffer cache. And also we are going to have a redo buffer. So this is a redo buffer, and whenever we are doing it, and then we have corresponding, so this is somewhere we have a data file. Just another color say here. So we have your data file, and also we have your redo log file, and also what we discussed, we are going to have an undo, right? So let me just draw this thing. So this is my data file, and this is my undo, and this is my online redo. So whenever we are doing a transaction set T1, the transaction T1 is doing a bunch of inserts. Say insert 1, insert 2, insert 3, and so on. So whenever we are doing an insert, we are making a buffer dirty here in the buffer cache, and then also we are generating an undo information. So for example, if we are doing an insert, the undo information of insert should be delete. Okay, so whatever information that I need, whatever things is required to make sure that this insert is going to be reverted back. So in that case, so that is what we are storing in our undo. So this is for this insert, this is our dirty buffer, and this is our undo buffer. And also at the same time, we are keeping information on the redo, what is needs to be done, so that I can do this insert again. And then when this thing is going on, log writer is going to write to this thing, and eventually database writer is going to write those things to here. So if this is the situation, and let's say when it's going to write, so the the data buffer, the data buffer is going to come to the data file, and then this undo things, the old value. Let's say we are doing an update. Say update table T, set a is equal to 10. Assume that a is original value where a is equal to 2. So that means this is 10 now, and this is 2 here. The old value is 2 and new value is 10. So this 2 is going to come here to the undo area, and then the new value 10 is going to come to the data file. Okay, so this is how it's going to because this is the concept of undo. So if this is the case, so you must be ask couple of questions, that how big this file should be, what is the space management, how do I manage this thing. Definitely I'm not going to have a file that is something similar to a data file. Okay, so until how much information I can keep here. If you remember that the moment I do a commit here, after I commit a transaction, I do not need any more these old values for rolling it back. However, for a long running query or for flashback query, I still need to have the old value, because in case of flashback query on a long running query, Oracle needs to reconstruct based on the SCN number, right? So basically, so that's what, that's why I need still I need the old values. So that means the goal here is that how big will this file be. Okay, and then how big will this file be, until how long I'll store these old values. Because if I want to store this old values forever, then I should be needing a undo space which is something similar to the data files, or something a little bit less than data files, but it should be very huge. Okay, but that is what is not the goal. We probably need, let's say for example, your long running query, let's say your long running query runs for 15 minutes. The longest running query on your database runs for 15 minutes. In that case, in order to get a read consistent result, I need to keep undo up to 15 minutes, and that is determined by a parameter called undo underscore retention. Undo underscore retention parameter is going to give, let's say if I give it 20 minutes, that means I expect that my undo elements, undo information will be stored in the undo segment for 20 minutes. Okay, so in that case, basically if I know what kind of database activity is going on, how much undo information I'm going to generate, and then remember that I'm going to keep the undo information for 20 minutes. That way I can calculate how big this file size should be. Okay, so and then who is going to create this file? This file will be created at the time of your installation. So whenever you are installing the database using a DBCA, or even if you are using the OUI installer, it must have asked you what is the undo tablespace. So if you give undo tablespace is something, say undo ts1, in that case it must have attached to a data file. Let's say that data file is 1.dbf, which is, let's say, of 10 megabyte. So if that is the case, then I have my undo. So this is my undo file where I can keep track of 10 megabyte of information. What happens if I need more than 10 megabyte? In that case, this is going to be either reuse, or it can also be extended. Okay, so that means whenever I'm going to create this undo table space, that time it will also ask me in which mode you are going to create this file, in a fixed mode, or it can be auto extended. If it's auto extended, it will be start with a minimum, say minimum of 10 MB, and it can go maximum up to 15 MB. In that case, like to start with, we are going to have a file for 10 MB, which can be auto extended based on the requirement. So now here is another question to you. Let's say we are creating this, we are doing this transaction, insert 1, insert 2, insert 3, and then let's say we have a undo retention of, say, 15 minutes. Let's say assume that, so let's take this, undo retention is 15 minutes. Okay, undo retention value, whatever parameter that you are giving for undo retention, does not matter anymore if we are doing a fixed size undo segment. If your undo table space is a fixed size, then you are not allowed to give any undo retention. Even if you give any undo retention, that doesn't make any sense. In that case, Oracle will create its own undo retention based on two things. Number one, the size of the file, and number two is the activity on the database. Based on these two things, Oracle will determine what is the undo retention time, and maybe it will come up, you give 15 minutes, but it gave that, okay, I just, based on these two, maybe just only 5 seconds is my undo retention. Okay, so let's say assume that undo retention is 15 minutes. That means whenever I'm going to have this undo information, this information will be there until next 15 minutes. That means this is called, let's say at 7 o'clock we do an update. Okay, at 7 a.m. we do an update. Because of that update, the old value is going to come and then stay here in this undo segment. Okay, and then so this is the value right now. This value is the status of this area is called, it is unexpired until 7:15. After 7:15, this is expired. If this is expired, then if we need any space for some other transaction to put the undo segments, or also undo information, in that case it may be possible that we might rewrite this area with the new value. Okay, so here's a deal, like, if we are on a undo retention time, right? So undo retention is going to give me when my undo will be expired. So after it expired, then we can overwrite. But what happens if before this, say for example 7 o'clock we start our database. Okay, so 7 o'clock we start database, and a lot of people are doing an update. Okay, and then we are giving that 15 minutes is the undo retention. That means at 7 a.m. when the first transaction happened, for the first update, we have an undo information, and then After at 7 1 there's another undo like this is goes on. Okay, so let's say what happens is that we are going to fill this, we are going to fill this complete, in the tables in the file. If you fill this file, then based on this, if it is, since it's auto extended, then it is going to, so let's say we're going to fill this thing in 5. At 7:05 a.m. we are going to fill the initial size of the undo segment, and after that we are going to auto extend up to say 15 MB. Then we're going to still going to fill this thing, right? So now at, let's say at 7:10 we have completely filled the extended part of the undo. Then what's going to happen? Then another transaction is going on. It's going to it needs some space to put his information, but at this moment we do not have any more space in our undo segment. In that case, two possibility can happen. One thing, we can overwrite. Okay, even though this is not expired, even though this information is still required because undo's retention is 15 minutes, and at 7:15 only this is going to be going to be expired. But what we can do in that case, we can overwrite. We can overwrite, or another thing can happen is that if we enable this table space using undo guarantee. Okay, there's another parameter called undo guarantee. If we say that this is undo guarantee is enabled, in that case we cannot overwrite. So here is a scenario, we are not able to overwrite. So here is a transaction, say T100 is trying to do something. For that, so this transaction 100 is trying to update something. In that case, transaction 100 requires some undo space in the undo segment, but however there is no more space, and then also we are not allowed to overwrite because we are giving this undo guarantee parameter. So in that case, this transaction will fail, because this transaction will fail, and this the error message is going to be sent to the user who is starting this transaction, saying that undo space is not available. Okay, so therefore this can fail. So here is the deal. Like this, will summarize whatever we learned so far. So there, an undo can be managed in two ways. One is automatic, another is manual. And starting from Oracle 11G, which is always highly recommend you start it automatic, and that is the way that I should go. I don't want to do it in manual way. And in automatic, we can have fixed size. So fixed size undo segment, or you can have auto extended undo segment. In fixed size undo segment, undo retention is going to be determined by Oracle. You don't have, as a DBA or as a Oracle administrator, you don't have any you don't have any right to give the undo retention. But in case of it's the undo extended, that means if the size can be extended, auto extended, then what we can do, we can have a parameter called undo retention. We will retain the undo information based on the undo retention time. And the second one is that called undo guarantee. And if you enable using undo guarantee, then we cannot write, if there is no space, then we cannot rewrite on the unexpired undo information. In that case, the transaction will fail.